We're back here, main event, second hour. Don't forget, YouTube, TME Media AZ. We're live right now. And, of course, we go on demand afterwards. All of our programming is on YouTube or over on Rumble as well. Rumble.com/user/TME Media. And including the Real Matrix, which is exclusive to Rumble over there as well. And at 9 o'clock on Thursdays means we go take a bird's eye view. Hey, Coach, you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. We're trying out something new because Coach Sheahan is on the road right now, and we've never done it this way before. So I was like, let's just try it. Let's do it.
I know. Sorry, my schedule got all screwed up today. I had to go actually do some work today, so I had to change my schedule. So sorry about that.
Well, you're not coaching football games these days. You might as well go earn money, right?
Oh my! Listen. You might get the grumpiest Sheahan you've ever had today. I just missed my exit. I don't have a football game this weekend. I had no bus to come back on Friday night. Like, you might get it all today. It might be the best interview or the worst. One of the two.
Well, let's see here. We got a stoic picture of you on the screen right now and everything.
I'm so glad I can't see it. What is it?
No, you're in your SCA hat and shirt and everything. And no smiling, though. Yeah, Ethan pulled it from the website because I gave him a warning that you might have to call in and instead of a video. So I was like, find a picture of him. Get it up there.
That's the worst picture, dude. That's from my first year. Like it's like a flatter hat and it's crooked, right? From the SCA website.
Yeah. And you're not smiling.
I need a new pic. It's horrible.
Yeah, well, update the website then, man. Come on.
Matches my attitude today. It's fine. So it's good.
So Robert says no stash either. Yeah, Robert.
Yeah, see this? I'm saying it's all messed up. Everything's messed up right now. Everything.
If we would have had more time on this, we could have drawn a stash in there for you.
Yeah, it's something.
So, Coach, obviously, we'll get into this week and what you're doing to keep your team fresh and everything. Before I forget, did you find a Glendale Prep replacement team? Because obviously, Glendale Prep canceled their varsity season. And they're on your schedule, I think, for week 5, if I remember correctly. And you were looking for a replacement there. I heard some rumors there. So is there news on that?
We ended up scheduling Coolidge.
Yeah.
So we did end up getting Coolidge. So the funky thing about that week is we always try to play on Saturdays during that week because we go to retreat.
Yeah, you go up north.
Everybody kind of remembers. Yeah, so we go up north from Tuesday to Friday. We're good, just because I took that game, we took it last week. I said, whatever, let's just play it. It's their homecoming. They need a game. They couldn't switch to Saturday. So literally we will leave retreat in Flagstaff at 10 a.m., drive back to Phoenix. Kids will take a nap. Then we'll get right back on a bus and go to Coolidge.
Yeah. And then drive for you guys, that'll be a 2-hour trip down to Coolidge for you guys?
You know what? I don't think it's that bad. Is it? I don't know. I thought it was
an hour from my place, but I take the back. I don't know how you guys would probably go down I-10 and cut over. I go the back way down there, and I want to say it's 45 minutes from my house roughly, and I live out that way. So, you might be right. It might be a little bit less going the freeway route and things to that effect. So at least you got to replace, and they're 3A, correct?
Yes, correct. Yep.
So at least you found a replacement for that one, because obviously, and we'll talk about this coming up. I tell you what, let's hit it up now, just because then we can go to last week's game and talk about that. But obviously, this week, Tonopah Valley with they're dealing with some things over there and things, so they've had to cancel this week's games. Their season's kind of on hold. They're supposed to be your home opponent here coming up this weekend and things to that effect. So just tell me, you went from not knowing for a couple days and trying to get guys ready to now knowing the finality of no game on Friday night and your first home game, no less. So I'm sure that added some excitement to it coming up here as well. So what are you doing to keep the guys fresh during the week and kind of excited as well leading up through this week and into next week? Are you treating it just kind of like the old bye weeks and everything?
I'm still kind of to that point where I'm I still want to practice like we're playing on Friday. I'm still trying to find a game. If anybody says yes, I literally told the boys last night, I go, dude, if someone tells us that they'll play us on Friday at noon, then we're playing a football game. Like so we're still preparing like we have a game, but I mean, it's looking bleak, but we're still preparing like we're playing a game.
Yeah, especially. Well, I was talking to somebody. Well, I'll just tell you, I was talking to Bruce Cooper yesterday, a little bit off air, and things, and he was even like, yeah, but even if somebody had a bye week, and I didn't even think about this angle. So if somebody did have a bye week this week or something, like, would they take on another game, even if it was like a 3 or 4A coming down into 2A? Would they even take on another game because that would add an extra game to their schedule? And they value those bye weeks and stuff to that effect. So I was even thinking about that, kind of like, that's a good point. Does somebody want to add another game if their schedule's still full and they just happen to have the bye week? It's tough filling. It was tough filling that Coolidge game, right? And you knew that almost a month ago that it was happening, and now you have less time out there to get into it. But that's kind of my question for this week is so you're practicing like you have a game. And no game materializes. Do the guys have the weekend off or like a bye week and they come back on Monday, or how are you rolling it from that perspective? You got that side down?
Yeah, hold on. 2 points. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna say a comment to your Bruce Cooper conversation. All
right.
Here's my comment. I told you I'm grumpy today. So
that's right. Bring it on.
But I think like not taking a game in high school football and giving the kids an opportunity to play sport, why would you want to have less games? It's freaking week 2, dude.
Yeah.
It's week 2. Like, let's play some football, roll the ball out, get your team better. Let us play. Like, at the end of the day, at the end of it all, would you be really disappointed that you played one extra game at the end of the season? No. You're going to be happy that your kids played more games. Win or lose, there's one state champion for every division. So what are we trying to, like, too many chess pieces sometimes when it comes to stuff, or people outthink themselves, and we need to just play football sometimes. I've asked multiple schools, everybody that can say, they said no. I understand some answers. I don't understand some. But if my kid's got an opportunity to play 11 games, I'll play in 11 games because nothing's promised in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So let's just play football, what we work so hard for in the summer.
Yeah. Well, the kids I think about the most, I mean, everybody's affected, but the kids I think about the most are the seniors, and it's out of their hands and they're kind of being robbed of. They could have been robbed of 2 games this year in their senior year on top of it. So championship or not, or playoffs or not, they're already being robbed of a special experience, and people that don't equate the speciality of a senior year in high school, it does amaze me how people put that into that side of things, and it's just like, oh, it's just another year, and it's like, no, this is a different year for those kids. So those are the kids I think about.
So to that point, right? I'm going to probably be very tangent-y today. I'm going to be very tangent-y. I had a young man had his first varsity reps the other night against Pima. He came up to me last night. He's a senior, never played football before, never done anything. He came up to me, and this is why it's so important just to play the game. Mm-hmm. He came up to me, he's like, I have not done anything so fun in my life. He only played like 7 or 8 snaps.
Yeah.
He said, I've never done anything so fun. And I'm like, that is what it's about.
Yeah.
Why would we not play more games? I think that's why I'm pretty irritated right now. We don't have a game. Now, Tonopah is a different situation. There's a lot more going on there than I even want to discuss or even want to know or even try to understand what's going on out there. I didn't want to have an opinion on that.
Yeah.
But just, dude, let these kids play. It's a game, dude.
Yeah. Anyways, well, I mean, there's a difference between what Tonopah's going through and then not being able to play, Like Tonopah's got to go through that process and rules processes and things to that. Laws may not have been broken, but policies and things like that around the school could have been broken. So that Tonopah is a different thing. Trust me, I saw some comments from some of Tonopah's players where they wouldn't say what was going on, but they were like, "We're ready to play. Like, there's something out of our control. We can't play." And you could tell even then your heart kind of goes for the Tonopah kids, where you're like, they're ready to go. The game was canceled beforehand. And we don't know how serious it is or, and how it's not serious, but they got to work through that stuff, unfortunately, in this day and age. And you feel for those guys as well, at least the comments I was seeing, you could just tell through the screen that they were just ready to go and wanted to get out there, and they just have to buy their time, So yeah, I agree with you on that, man. Get out there and play as much as possible. Now there's overextending it, but but one extra game for another school, especially, and I'll even say it, no knock on SCA, Mike, but I'm going to say it, especially if it's a 3A or 4A team coming down to 2A. That could almost become a practice, like another scrimmage for those guys. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, just use it as another scrimmage or another practice, and you get the win and move on with your life. It should be another practice for them. How you guys could step up and surprise them, but that's the other way I look at it too, especially at the upper level guys not wanting to play and come down because,
Well, you risk losing, and like I think there's a fear of that. Not that we're going to go beat any of those teams. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that we'll go beat whoever. Like, but there's the fear or risk, like, of losing to us.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, honestly, who cares, dude? Like, who cares? Like,
they care.
I don't even think we beat every team that I asked to play. But like, I think there's a lot of fear of losing to a smaller school. But I don't know.
Yeah, they don't want to be. They want to be. Who was that? That school from North Carolina that beat Michigan that one year, right?
Appalachian State. Appalachian State.
Yeah, they don't want to be that.
Yes.
Oh gosh, but that's all I wanted to touch. We're not going to talk about Tonopah's situation because they got to just work through that. Through their system, and that's just the way school districts are today, and rightfully so. You want to protect these kids, and and all of that stuff, and feel for those guys. But if that's what we were saying yesterday, me and Dale, for you was, that's why I texted you yesterday morning, like, any update, and then you let me know as they were getting ready to cancel it that it was happening, that they're going to cancel. But I'm like, even then, I'm like, man, at least say if it's canceled or not, because your kids are out there. You could have had a couple extra days to reach out to people, because there's a difference between reaching out to schools on a Wednesday than there was if you're reaching out to them on a Sunday, because then they have all week to prepare and stuff. And I was just like, man, somebody's got to let you guys know. And, that way you guys aren't like Odyssey, where you guys are getting ready for the game. Because, even Odyssey got kind of, screwed up on that as well by not being able to play last week.
For sure. It's horrible. And I don't want to comment on it, but I heard, like, actually, no.
Yeah, don't. I'll save you on this one. Don't comment on it.
yes. It was like, I almost did because I feel like I heard some coaches were involved, and I'm like, that's the only thing that I heard, and I truly hope not.
Well, I said it. I'll put it this way. I said it yesterday with the press releases and stuff like that. I said, because they haven't said who's been suspended on the set, but I said you have to. I'll put it this way, Mike. You have to assume coaching staffs have been suspended. Because of what happened in an outside event and stuff to that effect. So it's not necessarily even the kids not being ready to play. It's they might not have coaches, is how I would phrase it to people. All speculatory. They haven't announced anything. I'm just saying you can infer that by what's happening over there.
Yeah, it kind of seems that way. Exactly.
Which makes sense, because coaches were with them, and when it went down, and you have expectations as teachers, as right? You have expectations of when these kids are in your care outside and stuff to that. So we'll eventually find out. But enough about this week. You're just going to get the kids ready as best you can. So your next game will be Brigade Catholic coming up then, correct?
Yep, Brigade Catholic next week. At home, hopefully.
Yep. Yeah. So. Right. Knock on wood. It is interesting what's happening with 2A this year, and I don't know. I know what they're going to do is they're going to go, it's 2A, nobody cares. But I got to kind of figure this out to make it more fair for everybody out there, So September 3rd, Brigade Catholic will be your next game. But obviously, let's talk here in our time remaining. Go back to last week at Pima. First of all, let's go to the end of the game. And then before we get into the game, we filled up at that speedway across from their campus and everything. And we're sitting there and we're with all these families, SCA families. We're all filling up, and everything. And we get in the car and we start driving, and I get a text. Bus is broken down. We're not leaving. Yeah. So I responded and I said, well, I got room for 2 in my car. you know, and everything.
Yeah,
But I just assumed, nobody told me anything, but I just assumed that they'd send another bus your way or something, and you'd be there for maybe a couple hours and then get on the road. You end up having to stay the night there, huh?
yeah. So it was an interesting chain of events. We're going to leave, and all of a sudden, the bus driver like just pulls over, and we're like, something's happening, right? Like it looked like the battery because I'm in the front seat, and it looked like the battery was like drained. But I'm like, it's been sitting there the whole time. And then all of a sudden, he goes and pops up the back, and I guess the belts. There's like two belts. I know nothing about those engines.
Technical.
Yeah, I know. Like my dad would be really disappointed. I know nothing about engines, but like I guess both the belts, there's two belts to it, and they broke, and we called. It's super cool. I'll tell you what. The best part about this was like how Pima actually, like literally, their coach Wilkins, who's a good buddy of mine, the head coach, he was driving by and he stops, and he like a couple of coaches stops, and we had like 7 or 8 Pima people just stop. They called one of their mechanic guys. He brought over a belt. They didn't have the right belt. Yeah, most of them, what's interesting is they said most of the guys got done coaching and then they drove to the mine to work. So pretty much everybody after that game drove up to the mine. So I don't know if you noticed on the way out of town, like all the lights up to the right, like you could see that whole mountain, and like everybody went to work after that. So they called some mechanic down. He didn't have the right belts. The charter company calls and says, we're going to send somebody to you. And I'm like, wait, we're in the middle of Pima, right? And they're like, oh, we're going to send a mechanic. And I'm like, okay, from where? And I'm hoping it's like somewhere in that
You're hoping
little
it's
Pima Valley
or something. Yeah.
like, please, like someone be like an hour. And they're like, no, they're coming from Phoenix. And I'm like,
that's your only big city option, man, because Tucson ain't an option because you got to go around the mountains there and everything,
I know. I see. I didn't even know that. So literally, 3.5 hours were there, right? So they let us into a classroom, and the kids are exhausted. Like they didn't, and they're not the same as when we were younger. They didn't shower.
Yeah,
they're not like they
still taped
just
up,
changed,
right?
and they're like some of them. I was taking off tape off some kid at 2 a.m. But they're the mechanic gets there, and I don't care. The mechanic gets there. I don't even care to say this. Dude has like a toolbox smaller than I have, and I'm not a tools guy. He shows up with like one belt and a toolbox, like a 5x5 toolbox, not even 5x5, like foot by foot, 12-inch by 12-inch toolbox. And he just looks at it and goes, oh, I can't fix this. Dude, 3.5 hours later?
Yeah, I know.
And that's our answer?
Yeah.
So then they say, okay, there's a bus coming from Tucson, not like a sister company. So we're like, okay. And that was, what was it, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it was like 2 a.m., right?
So you're dealing with this, yeah.
Yeah, so 2 a.m. And honestly, like, I didn't, and just like you said, those coaches from Tonopah, like we're responsible for these kids, right? All of a sudden this turns into an overnight for me. And I've got 40 something kids that are laying on the ground. I got to make sure, like Pima trusted us so much, which was cool. They just left us there. There's no security. They just said, hey, lock up when you're done. I don't think they knew they were going to be there till 7 a.m.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? But they just put the cows out, and the cows were watching you guys, That's like it's a farm. It's a farm. Where's the other side of it? This is my question. What do you do for food? It's not like you run down to the Taco Bell down there or anything like that. Everything closes.
Well, we did. We lucked out because we ordered all kinds of pizzas. So right as we got done with the game, there was like 20 pizzas.
Oh, okay.
However, these boys, like, if you're up, you're usually eating. I know if I'm up, I'm snacking. You know what I mean? So these kids are tired. They're exhausted, but they're also hungry. Weirdly enough, and it's a God thing, that on our bus ride, the parents loaded us with more food. It was like we were going to our San Diego away. We had 2 full seats in that bus, like 2 full 4 seats, full of snacks and Gatorades and waters. It was like foreshadowing. And then we went through we ate, those kids might ate 300 bags of chips, 100 protein bars, gummy bear, like literally we had everything.
Oh, that
We were
giant
not
bag of
malnourished.
gummy bears was gone. That was a lot of gummy bears.
Yes, that was nothing. That thing usually goes during the game. But all right, so back to the story, right?
Yeah.
So 2:00 in the morning, they're like, okay, we're gonna send we're sending a place from noon or midnight. So they're like, hey, mechanic can't fix it. Of course, yeah, look at your toolbox. And then they say, we're gonna send somebody from Tucson, bus is gonna be here in 2 hours. We wait 2 hours. I go back down because I'm making sure I'm in the room and making sure nobody's being knuckleheads. They're not. They're all sleeping. And I go to the bus driver and they're like, "Oh yeah, they didn't come." And I go, "What do you mean they didn't come?" They're like, "Oh, they're gonna send another one." Wait another 2 hours. It's 4 a.m. No, 2:30, whatever it is. I don't know, 3:30. They're like, "Oh yeah, that one didn't come. One's coming from Phoenix now at like 3 a.m."
Yeah, they couldn't find a bus driver is what was happening probably. They couldn't find somebody that wanted to get up.
Yeah, so then the guy gets there the sun's coming up. I took pictures.
Yeah, that's the picture coaches. I saw.
Yeah, well, the sun's coming up, and they get there, and this is like the kicker. So we get on the bus. Our kids are exhausted. They've got to switch all their stuff from one bus to another, move all our equipment, do all that stuff. And we get about 5 minutes down the road, and all of a sudden the bus driver gets a phone call. And he's like, "I can't?" "What do you mean I can't?" And he pulls over, and he's out of time to drive.
Yeah, he hit his time limit. Yeah, I had a feeling. Yeah.
but since he didn't sleep in his own bed, federal law says that you have to like sleep in not your own bed, but like a hotel or
bed.
Something.
Yeah,
like
you can't just pull over and sleep. Yeah.
No, so we had to wait another like 15 minutes or something. There was another driver that actually drove that bus.
Yeah.
Had to come back, turn around, grab us, and then drive us back. And we got home, and the middle school kids had already been done with practice. So it was a long night. It was a long night.
Yeah, no kidding. And then just like you said, it's not like they all went to the locker room and showered and changed and they were in their regular clothes or anything to that effect. Yeah. Oh, what an ending to that game. But, hey, so I saw online you put it's team building.
Yeah, dude, like, what else are you going to call it, right? You know what I mean? It's like.
Well, the best part was your dad said he was staying there and you got like a whatever, an Airbnb or whatever. So I was like, it was funny because I was sitting there I wonder if Mike snuck out and went to the Airbnb with his dad to get.
I stayed awake. All my coaches were sleeping. I videoed them snoring, like all the things. So I was the only one that stayed up. I was the only one.
I mean, it's terrible that it happens, and like you said, it's terrible. It was uncomfortable. But looking back on it, man, you got a story to tell now. That's the thing. All these kids are going to remember not just the game, but also more importantly, what happened afterwards and stuff to that effect. And it just goes to show, I mean, like you said, shout out to Pima. You guys are competitors. You guys compete. You guys have gotten the best of them lately on top of it, including on this night, and they, like you said, they get off work. I heard that while I was at the game. Like half of the people there were getting off of work or leaving this game and going to work and working all night and stuff to that effect. And it just tells you that community for them to open it up and realize the situation and do what they could to help out. I mean, it's an amazing thing to hear from that perspective as well down there in Pima. So shout out to them. Absolutely. That's the part of the story that I got out of it, because it would have been easy for them to be like, "Oh, sorry. Sleep on your bus."
Exactly. Yeah, but not at all, man. They were awesome. They were who they are, right? They're just really good people out there, rural people, and taking care of each other and their neighbors. So
their fan base was awesome out there. I expected a little bit of animosity or maybe some Rough Rider attitude from them and things like that, and it was not the case. Super friendly. And things to that effect. Like the lady that scanned our tickets when we pulled into the thing, I made a joke like, she said something and I go, "Oh, city folks made it out here," and she goes, "Oh, I'm from Anaheim." And then I'm from Anaheim. So we started having that conversation and, the fan base was really nice. So I got to give shout out to Pima there, because you go to those rural cities, and it can kind of change a little bit, which brings us to the game, Mike.
Yes.
First half of this game. First half of this game, and I give a lot of credit to the referees, the refs, because they did even it out in the second half. But right off the bat, I mean, it was I was with somebody in this game that doesn't know football very well, and they commented and they said, "Do the refs run out of flags at some point?" And it was still the first half. It was just everything was a flag, and it seemed to go against you guys in the first half. Second half, it evened out a little bit, maybe tilted a little bit towards Pima on that side. But going into a rural town where the referees are from those areas and things to that effect, you prep your team for that and your coaching staff for that, because they were all over you all night long, especially in that first half. You specifically, they were all over you.
And they were for sure. And honestly, it's one of those things like. I am one that never, I promise, I am pride myself on never complaining about referees. I appreciate them. It's hard work. Everyone's yelling at you, all the things. It is true. It's a thankless job, and I try to make sure I thank them all the time and let them know that I appreciate them, all those things. But honestly, it was bad. The first half, there's nothing else you can say about it. And I hope this is the only time in my life that I ever even speak this way, because I do not. It was probably some of the worst I've ever been around. And honestly, I couldn't even, I tried to ask a question to the back judge.
Yeah.
He turned and this is not embellishing. He screamed at me that he was going to kick me out.
Yeah.
And all I did is ask for an explanation on a penalty.
Yeah.
And when he turned, you need to shut up. Oh, I'm going to kick you out. And I'm like, what, dude?
Mike, you could hear it. You could hear it. He wasn't quiet about it. Even with the way
you could hear that?
Even though, trust me, you could hear it all. And then even when they were calling for the ball, you know how the ball goes down in the ball boys? The way they were calling for the ball, just screaming at the top of their lungs and saying ball repeatedly at the top of their lungs. Even Autumn doesn't get disturbed by stuff. And even Autumn was like, what's that guy's problem? And it was just it was verging. I'll say this. You're not saying this. I'm saying it. And I get it. I understood the situation stuff. But when it crossed that unprofessional level, I was even like, what the hell, guys? Get to a professional level here. You could hear him say things like, I run the clock, not you. One guy said, I run the clock, not you, shut up.
To me too.
I know. And then, and he said, shut up afterwards. And it was one more word out of you, I'll throw you out type of, and it's just okay, guys, this is getting ridiculous. But I want to talk about that side, because at halftime, you had a lengthy discussion to the point where I was I saw Paul Clark out there, your defense coordinator. I was like, Paul, go over and get coach away. It wasn't a heated discussion. You guys were just having a normal discussion. But it was from the time the team went off the field.
Then I covered it pretty well, because it was heated.
Okay, well you did. I didn't video it, but I was watching it.
Words I'm not a cuss or any of that kind of stuff. So it's word, but I'll tell you what, I did not hold back, which I never do. You know what I mean? Hold on, I'm getting into a house right now, just doing the gate code. All right, so I've never done this, but I'm I'm gonna go talk to. They were in their little group right after halftime, and I went over there and I just talked about, and I didn't just talk in generality. I wasn't oh, this is just bad. You guys suck. I'm not gonna do that. I went over there loaded with every instance that had happened, and myself and that back judge, he was obviously flustered, when you can tell someone's so I love it. I actually listen, I argue all the time. I argue for a living, being in real estate most of the time, and I actually enjoy the argument to an extent, right? Whatever you want to call that. But it was
conflict,
the heated thing. I love conflict, because I always keeping my cool and making everybody else mad. And honestly, he could not hold his cool. He was huffing and puffing, and it was he couldn't control himself. And he started yelling at me if I was going to let him talk, blah blah blah, all this stuff. I'm probably getting a little bit too deep into this.
I don't know if you need to go into details, but I mean, everybody's getting
but listen, let's just say this: it was absolutely atrocious, and I'd never done a survey. I made sure I did the survey. And I even told these guys, I go, listen, I pride myself on being good to you guys, because I appreciate you. You get rated after games. There's stars, and I have 5 stars for almost every game I've ever coached. Every game I've ever coached. And honestly, like I told him, like, I appreciate you guys, but this has got to be better. Like it did feel a little homey. And this is the first time in my life that I'll ever say that. It felt like I got homered, and I'm from Kingman, so I appreciate the rural atmosphere, but that was not a rural atmosphere. That was wild.
Yeah, but that's the interesting thing is, and that's why, you know, because I go with my neutral hat on. I go as a reporter, you know, and obviously we're there. I'm there to support you and your team because you know you're good people and stuff to that effect. But even it was just like I said, and people I was with were commenting who are neutral as can be as well. Like we had a girl that goes to another high school there with us, and even she was like, what is happening out there, you know? And that's where you kind of like, all right, whatever. But like I said, saying all that stuff, I'll give them a ton of credit. You know, on the second half is. You know, I don't know if they listened. I don't know if they went in and reevaluated themselves. Not that it was perfect, but it changed a lot in that second half. So I do want to give them credit for whatever happened, realizing it, you know?
Yes. To follow up to what I was saying, I thought the second half they actually did a really good job. And I feel like, I don't know why, but I also told them at halftime, I go, dude, this is your guys' first game. We didn't have a scrimmage. This is our first game. Yeah. I understand there's going to be some mishaps or there's going to be some missed calls or like a lot of this is what I think it boils down to. And at the end of the day, I want to say this is how I truly feel. And I feel like I don't think we really got homered. I think we got first gamed. And when you like you know, like your first game, you're going to call everything because you've gone over the rule book recently. The AIA is coming down. Yeah, they're coming down and saying,
I'll go a step farther, going back and watching your film afterwards, because there was kind of hard to see at times because players were in the way and stuff to that effect with the way their visiting site is. And some of those calls, I was like, yeah, I'm not too sure. Some they missed, like the fumble recovery for a touchdown. Oh, blatant. I saw that live.
That's big, but that's big.
I know. I saw it live, and I was like, what? And then I got the explanation at halftime, and I was like, that's even worse because that's not even close to what happened, you know? And then I saw it on film and I was like, wow. But so that happened. But then I couldn't see a lot of the penalties. And I was like, all right, you know, first game, like you said, holding, you know, a lot of unsportsmanlike penalties, you know, called especially early in this game. And it was like, in the moment, I was like, yeah, they're kind of being ticky-tacky on this. You know, they loosened it up there as the game went on, sort of. One of your players got caught up in that a little bit. But you know, so I do want to give them credit from that side, but I agree with you on that. First game for refs, but more importantly, like you said, first live action for you guys. So penalties, guys downfield, those types of things are going to rear their ugly heads in live action type of stuff. And I think that was part of it. But now, what are you doing to kind of clean that up with your team?
Well, I think half of it was real, half of it wasn't. So we're just trying to clean up all of it. You know what I mean? So it's like we had a young man, like he got kicked out. Yeah. I watched the film.
Yeah.
Neither one of those were unsportsmanlike, like not even close.
In the moment, the first one was complete. Yeah, I'll just tell you that. I was like, that's not even close. The second one I wasn't sure of from that perspective, but at the same time, you know, but like you said, it's those there were several that affected the flow of the game, like that one turnover, which eventually didn't affect it, but it kept Pima in the game a little bit and stuff to that effect. And things, and enough of the refs here because you know we can go on and on about that, but they did improve. We'll give them credit for that first game because I want to talk about. I know you got limited time here, but you know, first start for your quarterback, Carson Reed out there as a junior, 6 for 12, about 108 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns for him. Now he did throw a you know, bad interception there at one point in the game, but also rushing 8 for 47 yards. You had it last year. But I also noticed that Reed, when he likes to pull that ball down and run, I noticed he likes to look for the contact while he was running. I saw that completely. I was like, ooh, he was looking for that guy. So talk about your quarterback's first start with the passing and running.
Honestly, I think first of all, we know he has some work to do. There's gonna be a maturation process. That's why I'm bummed about missing games. Mm-hmm. But I thought he got his first win under his belt, and I thought he played pretty well. I think there's a lot to work on, but there's a lot of bright spots as well. And then that one interception, it got tipped.
Yeah,
so
no,
I was like, man,
yeah.
I go, that was a bad ball. I was like, but
okay, so it did get tipped. I saw it
watching-
come out of his hand wonky, so it got tipped after. Okay,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, but I was like, man, but it's just kind of it's a growth moment, right? It's his processing speed's gonna get faster, and that ball's got to be 1, 2, 3 out, and it was 1, 2 hitch out, and that's what happens, right? So it's just a timing thing. He'll get better at that. I loved his legs. I think it adds a threat from our team that is it's hard to stop a running quarterback. I don't know how much you can't prepare all that much for a running quarterback. So if we've got a kid that can move, and honestly, like years past, we kind of didn't run the quarterback as much because honestly, we didn't have the luxury of having like too much depth behind it. But now we've got 3 kids that can honestly go in there and be very similar. So it's actually kind of it's a nice thing to add another element to our offense, which people have not had to prepare for in the past. Sean was a good runner, but we didn't ask him to do it much.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he ran a lot though. For a guy you didn't ask him to do it, he did run a lot.
Yeah. But it was more like scrambles.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't necessarily, but now if we can have some designed runs, misdirection with quarterback stuff, like that's a very tough thing to worry about. And Carson is like, he was a good athlete. If you saw him in the open field, like, he made a couple really good tacklers miss.
That 19-yard run, actually, I think that 19-yard run he did, I feel is actually what kind of turned your offense around and got him moving a little bit better, was that big run. And then you saw some improvements after that. So whether it was, confidence on the offensive side or the defense being like, what the heck? And them starting to loosen up a little bit. I think I'll say this from my analysis, his running opened up the offense for you guys as the game went on.
It
from
did.
That side, and then you got Elrod, right, number 6. I think he goes by Nate, right? I know it's Nathaniel, but I think he goes by Nate.
Yep.
That's what his.
Awesome.
I think one of his family members was yelling to him. But number 6 there, man, 11 carries, 61 yards. He's brute, man. He's gonna turn around with Carson Reed, and then he's gonna turn around and attack these guys and wear them out physically throughout the game as well with his size, running on that perspective. It was a good 1-2 combo between those two, and you didn't even really implement Dickerson that much in this game as well. He didn't get a lot of opportunities there, so if you had him in there, Coach, you got an offense that can be potent here.
I know, that's what I'm saying. As soon as we put it all together, it was a little shaky at times, and honestly, like Elrod had like 35 yards, 40 yards called back.
Yeah, he did.
Too.
Yeah. Had a big penalty.
No, he had he had a 30-yard run pulled back. So I'm like, he probably rushes for 100, right? Which is hard to do against Pima High School. What we're not talking about, and not that you're missing it, I'm not saying that. Like, Pima's actually gonna be a pretty good team.
Yeah. They have size. They have size.
Yeah, they have size. They're going to be able to lean on a lot of people. I thought our defense.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up next. That's why I wanted to leave it with you. I went to Paul Clark after the game. I just wanted to hit on your offensive guy. Your offensive line played well. A lot of penalties. I got to give them a ton of credit, and stuff to that. But with our limited time, I want to talk about your defense. I went to Paul Clark after the game, as when you guys were doing your huddle up or whatever. He walked over to me. And all I did was look at him and go, Coach, you have a defense. I don't. That was and you know what his response to me was? They're just going to get better. And I went, all right, if you say so.
Yeah. It's we might have arguably our best defense right now. We've got, so what happens is, like, some of these kids have been 4-year program kids. So it's from the SCA old, where kids just used to play football. Now they live football, and they've played so much football and they've got so many reps under their belt. We've got some pretty good football players, like top to bottom, even like from our biggest to our smallest, man. Our smallest kid on our team, Sully Reeder, man, he's amazing. He's a great football player. Like, so our defense is, now knock on wood, barring injuries, I'm not noticing anything, but man, we're able to start almost an entire secondary. Well, our entire secondary plus a couple linebackers and D linemen. Like, in 2A, we're able to platoon, which is almost impossible. Now you got to play your best players, and there'll be a couple guys that play both sides, but our entire secondary minus Murphy and a couple linebackers, they're only playing one side. So during practice, they're playing against our offense. They're always doing their job. Like they're just like coach said, they're gonna get better. And I was pleasantly surprised not being pushed around by such a big offensive line.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you guys got 3 sacks on the day, at least 3 that I saw, 3 sacks on the day, and it wasn't. It wasn't like they had free shots. They had to work their way around the offensive lineman of Pima, which is a big offensive line. If people don't know that, from that perspective, your cornerbacks, you had 22 out there. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, so I apologize. But 22 is this little short kid, man, and he was shutting down, on coverage to where the quarterback, who's a good quarterback for Pima, not able to find anybody open to throw it downfield on. I mean, I'm going to use the word stifling defense. Like, I was shocked at how, for a first game, how that defense just kind of worked in motions. And it was like everything Pima tried to do. Like, if you watched that game and you didn't pay it that close attention, you were like, Pima's offense is terrible.
And they're not. That's what I'm saying. That's like
you guys were doing stuff against them that they didn't have answers for and they couldn't answer to. And that was on that defensive side. It was really amazing to watch. It really was.
Well, the first play of the game, truthfully, we went from a 3-3 stack. We shifted into a 4 front. We brought a guy back in literally on the snap, which is like, we have movement in our defense. If you can have movement in your defense, that's hard to stop. Yeah. And honestly, the kids knew exactly what was going on. They rep this stuff. They do this stuff all the time. And Coach Clark has them firing, man. That's why I was like, I'm so annoyed to miss a game because wins and losses will come, but I want to see this growth. And I want this is the fun part for me. It's like building a business. Yeah. That's what this is.
Yeah. I mean, and like you said, I mean, it got to the point, and I don't know how to phrase it, but I mean, the Pima quarterback was tired of getting hit toward the end of that game. You could see it in his face. You could see it the way he was playing. Because you guys were just batting this back. Sully Reeder, by the way, is who I was trying to think of there. He just stood out. And everybody stood out. We could spend all day long on every single one of your defensive guys, but just this short little kid just shutting down that defense in the secondary, and he's only a sophomore out there on top of it, and you haven't listed at 5'6". I question that a little bit. We gotta check that measurement a little bit.
Dude, Sully is nasty, and he's only a sophomore.
That's the thing.
Dude.
He's a sophomore. Yeah. And then, but even then, your special teams. I know you got to get running here. But even your special teams, man, like. You have that kid, number 17 there.
Jordan Watkins.
Jordan.
Sturkowitz.
Yeah, Sturkowitz. Man, he went down on, I think it was a punt coverage. It might have been a kickoff coverage. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Man, he laid that returner out there. He ended up fumbling it. It was a fumble. It was another missed call. But he just got down there and just, made the contact, broke down on an open field tackle, broke it down there, and things to that effect. And, even your special teams, for the most part, was just, in guys' faces and hitting hard and getting down there. For a first game, on the notes, I mean, I just had notes in there when I scout the plays. I make all my notes, and I have like 3 or 4 where I literally just put "wow" next to the play, to go back and look at. And first games, it's rare you see that stuff. And I'll be at other bigger games this weekend, 5A and 6A games this weekend. And you don't see that too often where you do that stuff in first games. And it was nice to see, especially on the road. In a hostile environment there at Pima as well. It's a little bit more impressive.
No, it's honestly, I'm super proud because one, our coaching staff has been phenomenal to get everybody to that point, and the kids are actually absorbing it. Like Jordan, number 17, is a freshman.
I know that's well. I didn't know that. Alex, on your coaching staff there, Alex told me that after the game because I go, you got something with that 17, and he goes, he's a freshman. And I went, shut up.
I have chills. I literally have chills. Like we went into that game, and I moved in the defensive end like 2 weeks ago. Coach just thought I was crazy. But I just think he has this knack, and all of a sudden we put him in the game to get a couple snaps. The kid didn't come off the field again. Yeah. We learned about him in game because obviously you don't have that scrimmage.
Yeah,
we learned. That kid is he's a special athlete.
The way I'll describe it, at least the way he looked to me, was he has a knack for the ball. Where he'll just go find it. He'll go find it.
He does, and he doesn't say a word. He's got this gigantic, great smile. he's a salt of the earth. It's awesome. And honestly, and then the one thing I do want to say is Max Fletter, our punter and kicker, that is a threat that you can't. He punted 2 balls.
Yeah.
He averaged 45 yards on punting. One was downed at the 1. and then he hit a 41-yard field goal with ease.
That's actually That's something I wrote down. It was good from 50. When was the last time you attempted a field goal attempt in a game? Like that wasn't basically an extra point. You don't see field goals at this level very often, especially 40-something yard field goals.
I don't.
When you lined them up for that, I was like, "Oh, coach, what are you doing?" Like,
and what's funny, a funny story, because I know he can boot it and he's a great kid, but the last 2 weeks he's got like the kicker yips, and we would do field goal PAT and we do it almost every day, and he was missing everything left, everything right, like literally making like 1 in every 7 from like 25 yards. So we get stopped right there, and I'm like, you know what? I feel like I'm going to take a shot. And I just turned to Max and I'm like, hey, are you good from here? And he just looked at me like I was the biggest knucklehead. And he goes, yeah. And then I'm like, okay. Like I was not as confident as he was, but I loved it. And I'm like, let's go. Field goal, goes out there, literally right down the middle.
Yeah.
Just a great kid too. Amazing kid.
Yeah, no, that was one of my notes thing, but I put it in there like talk to coach about, because you just don't. You'll see a field goal, but you'll see it, like I said, extra point range, maybe just a hair farther from that perspective. But not a lot of 3-points are scored at this level for that. And then when it was that I didn't even know what the distance was. Like I just estimated it at 40 because I couldn't see where it was actually sitting at when he, and all that stuff. But no, impressive, man. So, I mean, that's just the line getting out of this game, from my perspective. And I know you're happy with the, things have to be fixed and you're working on them and stuff like that. But for game one, I mean, you couldn't have been more thrilled. Like I said, you can nitpick stuff and say things need to clean up like penalties, but you have to be thrilled with the way your team played in that first game.
I truly am. It's honestly because I was almost sick to my stomach all Friday worried about how we're going to perform, right? Because there's so many expectations. There's so many people that don't want us to perform well. I think that's why we coach harder, and I think that's why these kids are locked in so much. But I was like, man, that was awesome to watch. I was so proud of them. Like minus the penalties and all that stuff. Like, that's going to happen and we got to fix that. But like their play, their effort, their attitudes, their like just how they care about each other. Like we're right back in where I want to be, and we're just getting started, and it's exciting. Now I kind of know where we're at. I know what we can do. Now it's just like the goal is to get there.
Well, I'm going to end this interview in your segment. You come on every Wednesday with us. Appreciate you. I know you got to get going to a meeting here, but I'll just leave you with this notice here because the way you played game one, and maybe you can do it on this side. Your competition, Santan Charter, who I follow. I know people that go there, stuff to that effect, and they won 66-0 over Apache Junction. So, motivation for you to make sure your team stays focused into this, because if you make it to the playoffs and go on a run, you're going to be facing them. And there's other two-way competition out there. I just wanted to point out them a little bit to you as well. So,
absolutely, dude. Santa, listen, they're the favorite, man. We're the underdogs. They're the
their freshman quarterback looked good too. And that was one game, and they Apache Junction is down on their luck right now, the freshman quarterback and stuff to that. But no, I just wanted to give you a hard time and knock you down a little bit after that happiness of winning at Pima.
We're the underdogs, dude, and I love it because they're good. They're good.
Yeah, so it'll be fun. But Coach, thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next Wednesday. With the weekend, get through it safely. No problems on the team with the bye week and the unexpected bye week and all that, and get ready for Brigade Catholic for next Friday. And we'll talk to you then. All right.
Well, dude, I'll get you a new picture because that thing is like 30 pounds more and 4 years old. So, all right, dude.
Ethan apologized. He put on the YouTube chat.
Come on,
sorry,
Ethan,
Coach.
that's ridiculous. I already got a bad. Listen, I bought a tea this morning and had a little sippy cup top, hole in it. I dumped all over myself, and then Ethan gets a picture like that.
Well, I'll put it this way. You're lucky Ethan found it, because I was just going to like screenshot one of your other visits on here or something, and it probably would have been like one eye closed. Those thumbnails.
Fair.
You're probably lucky you found that one. We'll see you next week, man. Have fun.
Have a good one. I'll talk to you.